We are going now to speak about identification of pigments. For example, I have here a nice piece of a manuscript which has been some drawings with color pigments. It's important for us to know which pigment has been used. It has implication for the choice of the conservation treatments, but it's also important to know better for the history of the making of this manuscript. It's a new science for the history of manuscript, which is called codicology, the history of the codex itself. In this case, we are trying to identify the red pigments. For that, the Qatar National Library just acquired a very specific device called a Raman spectrometer. A Raman spectrometer is working with a kind of specific beam of laser light going to touch these pigments from a specific reaction can be measured by the machine, this device. And from that, from the way of the quantity of these photons, where they are going to be reflected, there will be a specific identification way for each pigment. So I will put my manuscript here and arrange the beam of the laser. The laser beam will go in this Raman spectrometer, which will produce on my screen a specific spectrum. So now I have a spectrum for this red. What is the specificity of this spectrum? Which red pigment it corresponds to? For that, we have a kind of a reference library in which we are going to find which spectrum is it. For here, I have a reference library with all the colors and most of the most important pigments which have been used for manuscript production. And here I have all the reds. For example, I can try the first one, the cadmium red. I can see a specific spectrum here. You can see here the levels and this shape. So now I come back to my measurement, and as you can see, my peak level was 251 and here it's 296, so it's not the same shape at all. So it's not this red one, so I will go to again and check for another red. For example, I have a red ochre. Red ochre is made by earth, and you can see the shape, which is absolutely nothing to do with the spectrum I get. So let's try another one. I will try now the vermilion, and I look at the result of the vermilion. And here I have a spectrum which looks quite closely from my spectrum. So the peak one, that means the peak, which is the highest point of the spectrum, is 252. So now I will check with mine, and you have 251.88. So that's that one for a few digits. So, and I can see it's exactly the same here. I have another peak at 343, which I get hit. So I can now say that these pigments on this manuscript, it's a red vermilion, because I have a reference library which gives me the information that with this kind of peaks, it's a red vermilion. So from that information, I will be able to decide about conservation treatments, and we will know much more about this history of this manuscript, information about this production, the date of the production also.